Eastern Cape government is ramping up its response to the devastating floods that have ravaged areas in and around Mthatha. Today, the COGTA Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC Zolile Williams is conducting a high-level oversight visit to the OR Tambo district municipality, which remains one of the hardest-hit regions. Tragically, the scale of this disaster continues to unfold. To date, 102 bodies have been recovered across various districts, with 56 victims already laid to rest. Let's now bring in the MEC, Zolile Williams, for an update on the provincial government's recovery efforts. MEC, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Let's just quickly get the stats out of the way, MEC. The last report that we had was that there were 102 people who have died in these floods. Is that still the number?
Good morning, Aldrin, and good morning to the viewers this morning. Yes, Aldrin, the statistics are still 102 bodies that have been recovered. We still have a difficult task of giving hope to those families whose loved ones have not yet been found. And we are maintaining our stance as a provincial government that our search and recovery teams still remains on the ground to try and find those missing people. And we will not abandon the families during this difficult moment. Yeah. We have to be with them.
And for how long will that search and recovery operation continue? Would there be a point where the government says that we have done now everything that we are capable of doing and we are now calling off the operation? Also considering that this week will mark a month now since those floods.
Well, we will, once advised by our team on the ground, for now they are still hopeful that they will find those missing bodies. So once we are getting advice and we've considered everything we can do to try and find those people, we will then come back, convene those families, talk to them. But for now, it's not an option. We want to find those missing bodies.
Do we know how many people are missing?
For instance, the last we have, it's 3 people. And we're still trying to find those people because there's a woman who cried yesterday, Aldrin, when our team met, and that woman has been impacted with about 3 family members, but we find those. But the last one, which is a young boy, is still not found. So we're really pained by that and disheartened, but we're trying our best to ensure that that young boy comes back and is laid to rest properly.
All right. And then, MEC, in terms of the burials as well, the last report that we got that there were at least 6 bodies that are yet to be identified. Do we know what the update is with regards to that?
Well, we are still struggling with the 6 bodies, Aldrin, and we've been making a clarion call to communities even outside Mthatha, because there may be instances, because if you look at the catchment area that was affected by flash floods, it is not only in Mthatha, it is broadly going to Muza Hill and other areas outside Yontabankulu and so on. So we may be really having people from that side of the district, which those communities must really come to Mthatha, assist us in identifying these bodies so that these people can be laid to rest.
All right. Let's then speak, MEC, during this period, maybe some of the lessons that you have drawn out of how government was able to respond to this tragedy. Yesterday, we spoke to the leader of the UDM, Bantu Olemisa, and he argues that there have been lots of lapses, including, for instance, the ability of the SNDF to assist. But from your purview, as somebody who has done the oversight around the response, emergency response efforts as well, what are your takeaways, lessons that have been learned, and what we should be improving on?
Well, Aldrin, I think technological advancement will be of great importance in trying to respond to disasters and not depend only on weather services giving us warnings and so on. technology in terms of ability to caution people immediately. You've seen in the war in Israel where there are sounds that are being made in order to caution people that there's something going to happen and all that. We're thinking of such technology so that we can make sounds that would push people to get out of areas that may be flooded. And so we're saying technology is one thing we're going to explore that we can improve on. Secondly, Aldrin, that helicopters supposed to have more survivors in this flood, but helicopters could not fly. And we had to send boats from East London. So our view is that, okay, boats are necessary in all districts. It means we must then allocate boats closer to all the disaster centers so that when we trigger responses, we don't have to transfer boats from the sea area to the inland areas. They should be around those areas in disaster centers. That's another takeaway from this disaster. And the last one is that it's very clear, Aldrin, any family that construct a house in areas that are below the flood line, that family will be committing suicide. And we want to appeal to everyone. I know there's desperation for land. We want to appeal that please consult your municipality, please consult the Department of Rural Development before erecting any houses in areas, especially in rural areas. And we're trying to ensure that we do risk assessment in all these areas so that we prevent areas where communities will be flooded en masse, as it has happened in this regard.
Yeah. Last week also, MEC, there was a press briefing and you'd indicated that to rebuild the damaged infrastructure and the money that is required, you need at least around 5 billion rand. We understand that the Disaster Management Centre had said that in the first week of July, money will be released. Has there been confirmation as yet how much will be given to the provincial government?
Well, there's no yet confirmation, but I am aware that the minister will be coming to the province on the 7th of July, where he will be giving us a commitment of the funding that will be sent to the province. However, currently, we have reprioritized budgets from municipalities of King Sabata, Muma, OR Tambo, and various government departments. We have reprioritized our budgets, including transport, where we are opening those roads. We are also attending to infrastructure that was damaged in terms of water treatment works. We are also attending to electricity. We are attending to also the planning for the resettlement of those communities. Our human settlements has set aside about 120, but we have a deficit of plus minus 280 million, of which that deficit we are hopeful that we'll be getting from this allocation coming from national government.
Yeah, and then the response to the water crisis, how has that been? And about 2 weeks ago, we had a chat about people saying that they're struggling to access clean water. How has that changed over the past week? And also the availability of the water tankers. And remember the conversation that we had also, the gift of the giver saying that their water tankers were actually attacked by the so-called water mafia.
Well, Aldrin, I must really thank our team of engineers from Water Affairs, our department provincially, and the municipalities teams. We have now since restored water in all the areas that were covered through the water treatment plant in Mthatha. Then the mafia has been dealt with, and I would want to warn, because there are some criminals that are also making it difficult for our teams to send food, to go around those mass care centers in Mthatha. I would want to warn them that the police are up on their game. They will take serious action against any criminals that interfere with our staff members when they are doing the work. Remember, we've got mass care centers, where we're still providing food and humanitarian support, medical services, and psychosocial support. So we don't want any criminality to affect our staff in serving those communities. And those are things that I will be checking today as I'm visiting the area, because there are reports that I've received that our staff are finding it difficult in certain areas to do. And I've already alerted the police about that, and the police will be following that particular issue.
Yeah. Has it been difficult at all, MEC, to respond to this during a period where the Premier is on leave?
Well, that's one thing I really would want to address, Aldrin. I think it's really unfair for the community or the media to put the Premier under pressure unnecessarily when I, from the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, making a clarion call to families to support their kids when they undergo traditional circumcision. I think we once talked about challenges that we have, Aldrin, where kids are sent to circumcision schools, no family member is there, kids are abused, sometimes raped, sometimes deprived water and all the necessities to the extent of those kids dying. Now the Premier has unleashed a team of us, and I'm the lead head of disaster in the province. All of us are there, HODs from various departments. I think 5 HODs, including the Director General, are still in Mthatha. Now, to just say the Premier has abandoned those people. I mean, we were with the Premier, they're finding dead bodies, Aldrin. So I think really the people of the Eastern Cape know how committed the Premier is, and the Premier would never abandon the communities during this difficult time. However, there was this challenge of the kids that have to undergo traditional circumcision. And as a parent, and as from COGTA perspective, I would want the Premier to be ikangata there, watch those kids, and I'm going to check if he's complying, in fact, with all the laws and regulations affecting traditional circumcision. So I really want to give the Premier some time to focus on that job, because it's quite important. All of us, there's nothing that the Premier needs. They've appointed an acting Premier, MS Mvoko. We are there, all of us, under the marching order. You'd be surprised that while he is in the traditional circumcision school, we're still getting SMSs about people that must be served and this and that. I think we all know how committed the Premier is. So let's not be unfair. Let's let the Premier focus on those 2 boys. He's got 2 boys, and you know the worry of a father when your kids are going there, because you want everything to go well, Aldrin. Okay. So it's a very difficult situation, and let's allow the Premier to really help those boys to come back home alive.
Thank you so much, Zolile Williams. And perhaps let's have that conversation also about the boys going to the mountain and coming back alive. Very important.